For the past few days, it has been really nicely cold here at the Old Burg, and that means today we are going eel fishing once again. Yeah, at these temperatures, the eel angler's heart really starts to smile. So perfect weather conditions, ranging from rainy to overcast to light rain, or sometimes just a bit of sunshine. But the important thing is ideally below 15 degrees, so that during the night or evening hours, it quickly drops below 10 degrees. And at temperatures like that, we have excellent chances for eel fishing. So let's get to the spot. I have now tested this spot for the third time, and so far I have already been able to catch really good different eels here. More eels per night, bigger eels, usually around 2 kilograms in weight, and of that size, about 3 to 4 eels per night have already been possible here. This spot maybe is not that well known. It is basically an old spot that already worked again and again years ago. So here in this area where the water lilies are, it has actually worked repeatedly right there at the water lilies as well. At the moment, I am now positioned right here where the cursor is. So in this small area, in this little bay, my 3 float rods will go in right here. We have 7 p.m. I would say I can already cast out, and we will very casually cast 3 rods into this area. 1, 2, 3, casually cast out, and then pulled once more into this small bay. All right, and here I already had bottom contact again, and that at only 90 centimeters depth. Otherwise, in many places here at the Old Burg, close to the bank, we usually have around 1 meter 10 to 1 meter 20 depth. Here at this spot, it is actually only 90 centimeters shallow, and that is, as I said, a really good situation for eel fishing right now. I might even take the 2 rear floats here and set the bait depth a bit higher so the floats can sink properly, so maybe rather around 85 centimeters here in this area. But it has also worked quite well repeatedly over the last few days. By the way, we are after the server restart, so this is now the situation after the server restart, which was carried out on January 6th in the evening hours. So now we can come back in here, fresh again. And of course, also try it fresh and new at this spot. And of course, I hope that all the eels are still here. Another option would of course also be to cast here in this area. This is also a classic spot that works quite well again and again. Back there, position 2167, is the classic common carp and grass carp area. And as mentioned, testing for eels in this area from time to time also works. Now, as I said, this area here worked very well over the last few days. And of course, I'm curious whether something will bite here now or not. There is, of course, the chance that I will not catch a single eel. That is just how eel fishing is. And it is also entirely possible that this happens now because the server was restarted and the eels might now have different preferences. That is absolutely possible. That would then mean that with these ideal weather conditions, I would of course test the next spot on the following night. So one of the classic spots here in the front area, naturally also down here at the campsite area, or of course here in this area as well. These are the 3 spots I test first when it comes to eel fishing. Before we now move into the night phase, let's quickly take a look at the setup, how it is built. So I'm currently fishing here with match rods, of course with the big Rebellion match. However, I'm only using 9.7 kilograms fluorocarbon here, and at the moment size 4 hooks, so medium-sized hooks. Normally, for competitions, I equip my 3 rods with different hook sizes. With a size 8 hook, very nicely small, so you catch every eel possible, even the smaller ones. Then I also really like using the size 4 hook, and as the third one, I like using a size 10 hook, so going significantly larger again. And on both the size 8 and the size 1, I have caught the most eel trophies in recent months. So all 3 rods are now built like this. Of course, I currently have the advantage here of the double bait rig. That means fish chunks plus fish chunks, 1 plus 1 equals 2.5, because the combination gives us an additional positive effect on attraction. The weather situation is also still very good because we do not have much wind. That is of course very good for float fishing. If it were very windy here, then you would probably rather go in with bottom rods. And if you do not have any float rods at all, well then you simply cast bottom rods into this area. Oh, and I think we're getting the first bite now in the early evening hours. And yes, indeed. Very nice. Good weight, good weight. As I just said, over 2 kilograms, and the first fish has reached that weight. So halfway to a trophy, that is already quite good. 2.1 kilograms, I will happily take that. And quickly back out again. And there is already the next one, and also hooked. Oh, very nice. No, a burbot. Oh dear, a burbot for the first time here now. So, in all 3 days that I have been here so far, there was not a single burbot, and, well, at least we already have the first eel now. This can gladly continue like that. It is now 11 p.m., or just shortly after 11, and yes, now it can really get going. It is midnight now, and I think now, step by step, one eel or another will keep coming in. For now, I will leave everything as it is in terms of depth, so all 3 rods are still set to 90 centimeters depth. On the next night, I will definitely stand here again with bottom rods. So 3 bottom rods and 3 different rig types, just like shown in the last feeder fishing tutorial video, with different rigs that also have different effects and attraction factors on the fish. With 3 different rigs, fishing nicely on the bottom, and then testing eel fishing again that way. If you fish here with bottom rods, feel free to write in the comments which rig worked best for you. Yes, that happens regularly, the entire night without a single additional eel. Now I'm hoping that during this time window, so between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m., something will still happen. So far, it was actually only 2 fish directly one after the other. The last nights were definitely better, especially because it was raining then. It was raining repeatedly throughout the night, and maybe that has a slightly better influence on eel fishing. Still, I suspect that during the morning hours, at least one more eel will come in. Well, what is that? We have 5 a.m., and yes, also hooked, very nice. And another eel at least. Take a look, 1.7 kilograms as well. I will of course happily take that. Very nice, quickly cast out again, so casually back out and pull back into this zone, into this area. Perfect, and then keep trying. Of course, we can now continue this until around 10 a.m. Even around 10 a.m., eels can still bite. So simply keep trying until around 10 in the morning, and then you will notice that over time, more and more Chinese sleepers start coming in. A few days ago, we were also standing here in a live stream doing competitive fishing. During the daytime, bleak also kept running here at the water lilies. That means you can absolutely stand here during the day, fish for bleak, and maybe even use the bleak as bait fish for eel fishing. That is certainly also a good bait for eel fishing. You do not know how to fish for bleak? Very simple. Just click up here in the search, type in bleak, and you will get lots of information and videos on how to easily fish for bleak. And exactly as explained in all those videos, you can do it just as easily here at the Old Burg. And there goes another one, again on the second rod, also hooked. 1.8 kilograms. Yes, the next eel. Very nice. That can gladly continue like this. I still have a bit of space left in the net, and of course I'm happy to take a few more eels. So far, this is really not bad at all. In terms of silver, this is also quite okay. 3 eels in this weight range, that works. It is 9:30 a.m., and so far there has not been a single additional fish. But now it slowly starts again. Well, take a look. On the 3rd rod, there is some very cautious nibbling. It could of course already be a Chinese sleeper, but with some luck, it might simply be another eel. It is now after 10 a.m. and it is still below 10 degrees cold. So really sensational weather for eel fishing. Nevertheless, I will now sell first, and of course we will take a look at how much silver the eels bring. So, is eel fishing actually worth it at all? If you consider that you stood here for 30 minutes and caught only 4 fish in total, that is of course not ideal. Of course you can get lucky and a rare fish goes in, a trophy, and then that is a lot of silver. However, you really should not fish for eels if you do not have perfect weather conditions and suitable baits. Especially at low and mid-level, you should carefully consider whether it might not be more sensible to fish overnight for rough at winding rivulet and at the same time catch other very valuable fish. That way, you can easily make 100 to 200 silver in 30 minutes. Here, it was 120 silver in 30 minutes with 3 eels. That is not bad at all. But if you consider that it was only 4 fish and that it can be a bit boring if you only catch 4 fish in 30 minutes, and that you also do not get many skill points in bottom fishing or float fishing from just 4 fish, then it may be worth fishing less for eels at low and mid-level. So at low and mid-level, rather go for small fish, Chinese sleeper, rough, bleak, and dace. These are all fish that are really worth it, where you can make a lot of silver. Still, I am quite satisfied with this, and on the next night, I will return to the spot with bottom fishing. And as mentioned, I will test different rig types. You should also test it yourself and share your experience in the comments. Which rig worked best for you? If it helped you, leave a like. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel, that helps me, and then I will see you in the next video. Until then, tight lines.